The Steelers are hoping that there's no place like home for the holidays. But improving to 3-0 all-time on Christmas Day won't be easy with their opponent, the 14-1 two-time defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, looking to nail down the #1 seed in the AFC playoffs with a win today.
This has been just a matriculation down the field.
Here's a snap back to Mahomes, looking left, and he has a man wide open and lunging for the end zone. It is Xavier Worthy, and he's in for the score, and the Chiefs have scored first. Play action pass, and a loft down the far sideline. The near sideline is caught by Watson, Justin Watson, the local product, South Fayette grad, makes the grab all the way down at the 16-yard line. Mahomes gets a snap, throws, corner of the end zone, complete, touchdown. This is Watson, and Watson in for the score, and the Steelers find themselves in a 2-touchdown hole.
Wow, you talk about quiet in a crowd.
Wilson is under center, gets a snap, gives to Warren, starts left, cuts back to the middle of the field, and Warren goes in for the score. There is, however, a flag behind the play.
Holding, offense, number 80. It's a 10-yard penalty, replay, second down.
Oh my goodness, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, that'll rank you. Oh, that is so weak. That is just weak.
11th play of the drive for the Steelers. They have the ball at the 1-yard line. It's rolling out to the left. Wilson trying to get to the edge. Wilson dives, 1-2 step, and 3 is in for 6. Touchdown, Pittsburgh Steelers. Turn and the handoff, and this is Hunt, and Hunt will get into the end zone easily off the right side. 3rd and 15. Wilson in trouble, throws out to the right flat. This is complete to Freiermuth. Freiermuth up the right sideline, and now lost the football.
Boy, when it rains, it pours. And right now, it's pouring.
Here we go. This pass is caught, and that's a touchdown. That's the way to work. Come on. He's hit that sack. The Steelers win the football game. Let's go. Come get it. You know what it is.
This one is in the history books.
Here we go.
Welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Hi everybody, Happy New Year and welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. I'm Missy Matthews. The month of December is when teams want to be playing some of their best football. Unfortunately for the Steelers, they lost 3 games in an 11-day span to end 2024. But luckily for them, however, they had a 10-day break to regroup to get ready for their final regular season game and the playoffs. And for more on what that entailed, let's welcome in Bob Pompeani, who's standing by with Coach Tomlin. Guys.
All right, Missy, thanks very much. We now know the Steelers will take on Cincinnati. It'll be a 8 o'clock game on Saturday night. And night football at Acrisure Stadium is always fun. Mike Tomlin is here to talk about what lies ahead. But first, Mike, you've had some time off here to deal with some of the issues you guys have faced as a football team. Has that helped you moving into this last game of the season?
Man, it's provided great clarity for me. And, you know, the things that we valued from the very infancy of team development are still critical in terms of engineering victory today, whether you're on the positive side of it or the negative side of it. We've talked often about our turnover culture, how significant it is, our ability to maintain possession of the ball. And so the converse of that has been evident. We've constructed losses by not taking care of the ball, by not being opportunistic, particularly when the ball is on the ground or tipped up in the air. And so it's verification of what we already know, but sometimes as individuals and a collective, you need visible, tangible reminders of building blocks of why you do business a certain way.
In that Kansas City game specifically, you were in the red zone, there was an interception in the end zone. That play specifically, was there a part of it that didn't work the way it was supposed to allow coverage in the end zone for the Freiermuth pass?
Certainly, my preference would be Russ not throw the ball to move right there, but got to give their safety some credit. He did a nice job showing half-field coverage on the weak side, 2 over 1, and then showing up where he needed to be to make a timely interception.
Let's talk about defensively, because in the last several games, you've gone up against some pretty good teams with some pretty good quarterbacks, yet there have been what looks like blown assignments or miscommunications. How do you fix that given this time?
You know, a major component of it is gaining cohesion and stability that comes from working together. You know, we lost Deshaun Elliott for 2 of those 3 games, and his lack of presence, we felt it. We got him back last week. We cleaned some of it up, not in totality, but I'm excited about us going into this game with a collective. I think continuity is a major component of the back end communication. We missed Dante Jackson for a game or two. We missed Joey Porter last week. And so as we lean in on this one, we got a collective of defensive backs and Dante and Deshaun and Joey who've comprised a lot of our ball ready for action, which is exciting.
Plus getting pressure on the quarterback too. You guys did it at a pretty good rate early on. It hasn't been the same since. What has to happen there? Do you mix things up defensively?
Sometimes it's just whether or not someone's on schedule. You know, I feel comfortable with our ability to apply pressure on the quarterback, particularly in one-dimensional passing circumstances. Sometimes offensive schematics controls the opportunity, rhythm pass, for example. And another component of it, obviously, is you better control the running game to increase those opportunities.
As far as running backs, Najee Harris and Jalen Warren together have been a good 1-2 combination. Will you continue that combination? Does one move ahead of the other? Because it seems like Jalen has really done some really special things in the last few weeks.
Jalen's been a real good hot hand for us of late, but we have every intention of utilizing both. The balance or the split of the work is determined week to week on a myriad of variables. But for us, converting third downs, particularly early on, is the most significant component of the discussion, because converting third downs buys you a new set of downs, which buys you more snaps. And in terms of running the ball, and particularly dividing the run up between two people, snaps is everything. Snaps are gold.
When you look at this last 3 games too, even though they were double-digit losses, you were in the game late until the very end. It seemed fourth quarter. Last week, for example, 16-10 heading into the final one. Before that, Baltimore, without those plays, the fumble inside the 5, and also, is that something you can take anything from, knowing that you're in those games against those quality of teams?
I think you can, but I don't know that that's our mentality, to be quite honest with you. We're not into moral victories or keeping things close and things of that nature. Our business is winning and winning football games, and that's where our energy lies. And so we spend time focusing on what it is we need to do from a plan formulation and execution to make sure that happens.
All right, well, the execution will be on display this week. Cincinnati comes to town. It's a team that needs to win, and the Steelers would love to get back on that winning track heading into the postseason. When we come back, Missy, we will talk about the Bengals and their hot quarterback. That's coming up. Back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. And Joe Burrow comes to Pittsburgh as the Week 17 AFC Offensive Player of the Week for his performance against the Broncos that helped extend their win streak to 4 games and keep their playoff hopes alive. Some Steelers housekeeping in terms of team awards that were announced this week. TJ Watt was voted by his teammates as the Steelers' 2024 MVP. Zach Frazier received the Joe Green Great Performance Award for the team's top rookie. And congrats to Alex Highsmith for winning the Chief Award for his cooperation with the media. The 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show will be right back.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Joe Burrow is 3-3 against Pittsburgh in his career. He has thrown 14 touchdowns and has 9 interceptions in those 6 meetings with the Steelers. But lately, he's been on point. In the last 3 meetings with Pittsburgh, he's had 300-plus yards and at least 2 passing touchdowns. For more on what we can expect on Saturday night at Acrisure Stadium, let's go back to Bob and Coach. Guys.
All right, Missy, thanks very much. Anytime you talk about Cincinnati, you talk about Joe Burrow, who's been on fire. A lot of people say it's a heater. Whatever it is, it's working. 42 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions, and he's done it on a team that has given up a lot of points defensively, and that area of his game has been spectacular. You faced him before. He had some success, but you also know how to deal with him. What do you do to slow down a guy like this?
When you're in a battle with Joe Burrow, you're in a gunfight. You realize he's going to make some plays, and you got to make some plays. And I just think that's our general mentality. No question, as you mentioned, he is hot right now, but he was hot the last time we saw him. 42-8, man, he's been hot all year. And so we're excited about pitting our collective talents versus his and his team. They're a formidable outfit, but we feel good about how we're constructed in terms of combating some of that. Obviously, it starts up front for us. We got to do a good job of keeping a lid on it, minimizing one-on-one circumstances on the perimeter, and playing well as a collective.
Yeah, they have 2 very capable wide receivers, and Higgins has gotten over 10 touchdowns now for this season. You have a full complement of people coming back defensively. What's the best strategy to limit what they do?
For us, we can't sit in one schematic approach too long. Joe's got too much experience, too much talent, and too much continuity with those that he works with. Not only 1 and 5, but the coaching staff as well. And when you have that type of continuity, it requires us to spin the dial a little bit to have enough defense, for the guys to understand that defense, to do a nice job of communicating and play well collectively.
Another guy who's been very prominent to them is Mike Gesicki. Last week against Denver, he had 12 targets, 10 receptions. That also opens up more space for him in the middle, does it not?
No doubt, but everybody had targets last week. I mean, Joe threw for 400 yards or whatever, man. Every eligible got balls. And so, it's that understanding that we proceed with. We respect Gesicki and what he's capable of, but we also respect the second-year receiver, 80, out of Princeton, who has emerged and has made some nice plays for him. It's all of the above. Brown out of the running back position. When you got a guy that's functioning the way that Joe Burrow is, all of the eligibles are going to have potentially significant roles, and we better do a nice job of again, keeping things inside and in front of us.
The last time we met, when playing Cincinnati, you talked about Chase Brown quite a bit and how he's emerged, with the absence of Joe Mixon, moves on. But, man, he looks like he is a Joe Mixon 2.0. He can do a lot of different things back there. He got injured last week, but it looks like he will play in this one.
Yeah, he's good both inside and out. His perimeter game, his screen game, his ability to catch in the passing game and do things out of the backfield is really solid, and probably a little bit better than what some of the things that they asked Joe to do in that regard. They always supplemented Joe with another runner who specialized in some of those things. Brown seems to be a guy for all circumstances, and that's why he had our attention last time and will again this time.
Last time you met, you got into the 40s, point production-wise, a very good offensive day. In this game, they don't have Hubbard, they don't have Logan Wilson either. Does it maybe look at areas that you can attack that otherwise you might not have, given their absence?
For us, again, with respect to those guys, again, they've had some guys step up in a big way. 58, I think, is playing really good ball. And they've got a myriad of defensive back personnel packages. They got 7 DB packages, 6 DB packages, and all of that, particularly in one-dimensional moments, does a nice job of minimizing the loss of Wilson. And so they'll do what's appropriate. Lou, their defensive coordinator, has been around, has done a nice job of making it work. And so we expect that to continue. For us, it's about being ready for the things that are signature to them. They try to quell your run or discourage your run with a myriad of blitzes. Mike Hilton in particular, we got to do a nice job of not allowing negativity in the run game so that we stay on schedule. And so for us, it's about being on schedule so that we're in manageable possession down circumstances so that 91 doesn't wreck the game. He leads the NFL in sacks.
Yeah, he has 14, and that's obviously a guy you got to make yourself aware of. Coach, thanks for that. When we come back, we're going to talk about the keys to this game. Steelers and Bengals at home Saturday night at Acrisure Stadium. Missy, back to you.
All right, thanks, Bob. And Week 18 will mark Cincinnati's 5th primetime game on the road this season. As for Pittsburgh, they're one of 5 teams that get to finish out the season with back-to-back home games. Up next, Merrill Hodge dials up the telestrator to break down this matchup with the Bengals in his latest playbook. Now it's time for this week's Yinz Chat predictive question. Will Jaylen Warren have over or under 35.5 rushing yards? To lock in your answer, just head to the Steelers mobile app for a chance to win a football signed by number 30. And remember to play every week for a chance at new prizes and even a VIP trip to the 2025 draft in Green Bay. We'll be back right after this break.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Well, there's a good reason why NFL Films decided to follow the AFC North at the end of the 2024 season. There have been storylines galore, including how the Bengals still have a shot of joining the Steelers and Ravens in the postseason. According to Next Gen Stats, they have a 6% chance of making it, but they need to win in Pittsburgh and also get some help. Here's more from Merrill Hodge in this week's Playbook.
Hi everyone, welcome into the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex for the Acrisure Playbook. Okay, it seemed like just yesterday that they played the Cincinnati Bengals, and here we go again. And this one means a lot. Maybe more for Cincinnati than the Steelers. However, to get on a roll and start getting a rhythm after 3 losses, it's going to be pivotal. And they actually played one of their best games against Cincinnati in Cincinnati, defensively and offensively. So the first thing we're going to look at is the defensive side of the ball and all of the things that they did really well conceptually. And one of the things we want to look at that they did a really good job of, which is so important against Joe Burrow, is they showed pressure a lot in this game. Now, when I say pressure, see everybody here at the line of scrimmage. From an offensive perspective, everybody is on alert. Okay, not just your quarterback. Everybody mentions, oh, we got to get after Joe Burrow, pressure Joe Burrow. Okay, you got to pressure everybody. That means you got to pressure the offensive line, the backs, the receivers, and yes, the quarterback. But they did a really good job, the Steeler defense, of doing this, of making it look like pressure. I'm telling you, from an offensive perspective, this puts an alert out that you got to be ready because you don't know who's going to come and when they're going to come. So by aligning like this, you make the offense adjust. You got to think protection. Now, what the Steelers did a good job of early in the game is even though they threatened it, they didn't bring everybody. So at the snap of the ball, really, they don't blitz. They drop out, but when they drop out, they only rush 4. So technically, there's obviously not a blitz. Even though it looked like blitz, it's not a blitz. There's 4 guys coming, and those 4 guys do a great job of getting pressure on Joe Burrow. But before we get to them, they do a great job on the back end. Now, this is zone coverage. They do a great job of covering people up and not giving Joe Burrow anywhere to throw the football quickly, because that's why he is so deadly, because he's going to find somebody quick. He's going to process it quick. And this is another thing. It hurts that processing because you got people jumping back into coverage and coming after you. Things don't clear up as quickly, so it takes him a little longer. Well, they do a great job on the back end, and then they do the great job of finishing. They close the pocket. He tries to escape. They end up getting a sack. Now, let's go to the offensive side of the ball. The offensive side of the ball is important because they did a lot of good things too. Russell Wilson, I thought, was probably at his best in this game in 2 phases. Executing the passing game at the top of the drop, being quick, decisive, and getting rid of the football. Here's a great example of that. When they can identify coverage, he did a great job of identifying the doubles, and then the guy who was one-on-one and had the best matchup, which ends up being Austin in the slot right here with the off coverage against Hilton. But he does a great job at the snap of the ball, is he identifies the doubles right away. That is so important because that really clarifies who is going to be the one-on-one matchup. And at this point, you can see it. And Austin does a great job working Hilton to the outside and giving him the middle of the field. And then Freiermuth doubled, you got Pickens doubled, and he sees that. You get the one-on-one matchup with the off coverage, and he makes a great throw, great catch, touchdown. Now, this part of their passing game was really good. So these are all kinds of structural offenses and defenses that you're going to have to see play in this game, because it's not that you change your playbook, it's that you keep doing the things you did well and build on the things you did and throw a few of those wrinkles that they've never seen before. That'll be some of the critical aspects of winning the second game against Cincinnati.
You can catch all of Merrill's playbooks from the season on the team's official YouTube page. Well, Pittsburgh had its best offensive outing in Cincinnati earlier this season, and they may need a repeat performance to go toe-to-toe with Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense. They're averaging 32 points over their last 8 games. Since 2023, the Steelers are 5-0 at home against AFC North opponents. And for more on how they can keep that record going, here's Bob and Coach with your keys to the game, presented by your neighborhood Ford store. Guys.
All right, Missy, thank you very much. Coach, let's talk about this offense. The one thing that's been very consistent all year has been their offense. Joe Burrow has now 8 straight games of 4+ touchdown passes. What's made him so good, and what do you have to do to limit that?
You know, for us, we have to play really well as a collective. You know, we say things like rush and coverage works together, and it's not a cliche. We got to do a real nice job of allocating a number of rushmen and corresponding coverage, and that has to mesh. By that, I mean, oftentimes when you rush 4 and you get an opportunity to allocate 7 to coverage, Joe will buy time and extend. And if you're in spot drop zones, that stresses your zones. Your 4-man rush better do a really good job versus 5. When you bring 5, he has less of an opportunity to extend, but obviously you have 6 in coverage, and so that ratio is less attractive from a coverage perspective. Generally, that combination is going to create a one-on-one for either Chase or T. Higgins. And with their talents and his pinpoint accuracy and experience within the offense and that continuity, that becomes a challenge. And so that's what I was talking about earlier. It needs to be a nice mix, but within that mix, we have to play well as a collective. When we rush 5, we got to do a real good job, and maybe even in some one-on-one circumstances on the back end. And when we rush 4, we might have enough people to minimize things on the back end, but we got to do a real nice job of keeping him in the pocket with our 4-man rush.
Let's talk about offensively, what you must do against them. Last time you had success. How much of that can you take from last game and apply it to this game?
A lot of it, hopefully. Again, in these intimate divisional relationships, man, we know them, they know us. There's very few secrets. I think the most significant thing going on with them defensively since the last time we played them is they've had, I think, 11 turnovers in that span, which is number 1 in the NFL. And so they're still giving up some plays here and there, but the fact that they've been opportunistic as a collective, that they're taking the ball away, and particularly in some tough circumstances or in significant circumstances. I think the score was 7-7 versus Dallas. Dallas is going into the red area. They get a ball tipped and it's picked off by Geno Stone to preserve that 7 points. They're playing Cleveland. Cleveland goes right down the field on the initial drive of the game, but Cleveland fumbles on the 1-yard line going in. And so they've been opportunistic. They lead the league in turnovers since the last time we played them. But within that, when and where those turnovers have occurred have been significant in terms of points and the outcome of the football games.
All right, Coach, thanks and all the best Saturday night.
Thank you.
All right, that's head coach Mike Tomlin as the Steelers get set for the Bengals and then the postseason. A win would go a long way in getting things right heading into the playoffs. We'll have much more coverage coming up on Saturday on KDK and, of course, all the Steeler digital platforms. That's going to do it for our program tonight. For Missy Matthews and Mike Tomlin, I'm Bob Pompeani. Have a great game day at Acrisure Stadium.